My name is Amy DeSitter, and I'm an artist and a teacher. I spent my childhood, for the parts I remember best, in California. I moved around just enough that I never really belonged to any one group of kids. I was definitely lonely, but making art seemed to help me notice that less. I have a large 1,200 square foot studio in the West Bottoms. I have a cat and a dog. Lily is the kitty. Jack Henry is my companion animal. I think that what's most important to me is just that I show up. Whether any work gets done or not, hard to tell. But if I don't show up and I'm not there, nothing's gonna get done. I paint in layers, as most painters paint in layers. Layer one is usually pretty low pressure. I tend to be extra spontaneous with the paint. I like to use a push broom as my brush during this stage to help move different parts along and manipulate it. I start basically with bigger brushes and I work my way down to using smaller brushes. I usually have an idea in mind of what I want it to look like, but process-wise, I tend to let one decision lead to the next, a more intuitive approach. I enjoy microscopy and the fact that sometimes you can't tell if you're looking at something tiny or if you're looking at the landscape from above, like from a satellite. And that play between the macro-micro worlds creates the basis for my painting. And it's those differences in translation that makes each thing really unique. During COVID, I was making and sewing masks, and thanks to social media, that became my bread and butter for almost a year. I've definitely struggled with selling myself and my work, but COVID really put a damper on things. Supporting local artists is always a great step in championing the arts. Going to shows, buying art, sharing art on social media, just being part of the conversation. My adjunct salary barely covers my bills, and I work at 2 universities as an adjunct, which is what I wanted to do. I knew what I was getting into when I started. Ideally, I would like to make enough money so that I can travel the West Coast in my motorhome that I have. But these days it costs more to be transient than it does to be rooted in one place, so I honestly have to save up to be homeless. But I think that's where I want to be. I want to not wake up and be in the same place every day. So I have to be quiet, force myself to slow down, pet the cat, concentrate on what the next thing is. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is just staying focused and not letting my artist self go in every direction possible at the same time. My mom and my son are my biggest supporters. He's 27, and I've been kind of cultivating him into being an artist. And then I have 5 really close friends that complete that support system. Art is hard. It makes you look at yourself really hard, and sometimes that's hard to do. Be humble, but not crippling insecure if possible. Cut yourself some slack and just realize that you're right where you're supposed to be for the moment, for the amount of work you're putting in. If you don't like where you're at, do some more work.